Welcome to the first video in our tutorial series for Jellyfish Egg. In this episode, we're going to walk through character creation, your first step into the world, and one of the most important decisions you'll make in the game. I'm currently mid-run, but let's back out and start a fresh game together so I can guide you through it. Here we are, character creation. This is where you shape your traveler. The game features more than 300 different skills your character can learn and improve over time. But there's a catch. Each skill is tied to one of 6 core attributes, and no matter how much experience you gain, you can't raise a skill higher than the limit fixed by its related attribute. So if you want to become a master in something, you'll need the right foundation. But attributes don't just set skill limits. They also have unique effects that influence how your character interacts with the world, survives danger, and grows. Let's go over each one. We'll start with Constitution. Constitution governs skills related to survival and physical endurance. Things like fighting, climbing, carrying loads, and resisting illness. These are the rugged, body-centered abilities. It also determines your starting vitality, which is basically your life force. Vitality only goes down, whether from failing dangerous actions or simply from growing old. Once your character reaches a certain age, set by this very attribute, they'll begin to suffer gradual vitality loss over time. If vitality ever hits 0, that's the end of the road. Next is Dexterity. Dexterity covers all the item-based and finesse skills, sailing a boat, sneaking, picking locks, and most crafting skills like blacksmithing or woodworking. What's important to understand is that items themselves have their own sets of skills. Some of these item skills can be enhanced based on your dexterity. Some items are more efficient when manipulated by a dexterous character, so when you use them with a high dexterity, you'll get a proficiency bonus, which increases the item's effective skill level. This can make a big difference in how useful certain gear is. Dexterity also affects how many in-hand items your character can use. Things like weapons, potions, work tools, maps, basically anything you need to hold in your hands to use effectively. Then we have Intelligence. Intelligence ties into more abstract and knowledge-based skills, math, astronomy, alchemy, science, and so on. It determines the total number of skills your character can learn. Even if you're exposed to dozens of new experiences, your character can only retain so much unless their intelligence is high. And once you hit that limit, you can still learn. But you'll have to forget something first. Intelligence also affects learning from failure. When you attempt something and fail, a high intelligence might still let you gain experience in that skill, turning a mistake into progress. Next is Imagination. This one influences creative and interpretive skills, poetry, prose, and various art forms. But more importantly, it defines how flexible your skill checks can be. In this game, when you attempt an action, you can select a number of different skills that you believe are relevant to it. The number of skills you're allowed to try at once is limited by your imagination. So, more imaginative characters can approach challenges in more nuanced, layered ways. Moving on to Charisma. Charisma connects to all the social and influence-based skills: persuasion, seduction, leadership, but also expressive skills such as theater or singing. It sets the cap on how many companions can join you during your journey. Companions aren't just decorative, they have their own skill sets and can contribute directly to your actions. Charisma also affects your affinity cap with each companion. If you want a bond strong enough to help them grow and improve, your charisma needs to support it. And finally, Willpower. Willpower governs spiritual and mental resilience, skills like patience, focus, faith, and discipline. It determines how many aspirations your character can pursue. These are personal goals that unlock special actions and narrative branches. It also affects your perception of the mysterious green number visions, strange mathematical patterns that seem to guide travelers toward hidden truths. You'll always see some of these visions, but with higher willpower, you'll see more of them and more clearly. Willpower also lets you burn vital bile, which means sacrificing a point of vitality to retry a failed skill check, a last-ditch effort to push through when the stakes are high. All right, now that we've covered what each attribute does, let's build our character. You start with 3 points to distribute, and you can lower any attribute from its default of 2 down to 1 to get an extra point. For this run, I'm going to drop Dexterity to 1 and put 3 points into Constitution and 1 into Willpower. That'll give me a character with strong endurance and spiritual grit, perfect for what I have in mind. All right, before we confirm, I want to mention that your attribute selection also determines your character's starting skills. For this build, with the points I've put into Constitution and Willpower, my character will start with the skills Endurance, Fighting, and Dedication. These are the abilities most closely tied to the attributes we've chosen, so they'll help shape the early gameplay. Let's confirm that. And here we are. The game begins. This is our starting world, and the traveler we created is just a child for now. Their true journey lies ahead. In the next video, we'll dive into the childhood phase, how to explore, interact with the world, and begin shaping your path forward. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in part 2.